Hey, good morning. What's going on, Switch Gears fam? Early morning in the Switching Gears garage. Got a little work to do. Got a lot of work to do, projects and stuff to get done that I ain't been doing, but we're gonna eventually get these taken care of. But today, I got a project that I have to go ahead and get out here today. It's for a buddy of mine. He just picked up a 2021 Road Glide Special. Looks like it's kind of a maroon, almost looks brown to me, but a maroon. But it's a 2021 Road Glide Special, and he brought it in to do a 5K service. It's been sitting up for a while, for a couple of years actually. The story behind it is he bought it from a buddy that was no longer riding the bike, kind of sat up, and the buddy decided to go ahead and sell it, so he picked it up. And he brought it over here so we can go through the whole thing, just get it road ready for the upcoming riding season. So it's not gonna really be a how-to. I'm just gonna show you guys what I do, how we go through it, some of the things that I've learned doing these services and checks, and go over some checklists that we have and just different things. So stay tuned. All right, like I said, this is the 2021 Road Glide Special. Hopefully, guys, you can see that paint. I don't know if that's like a maroon, a deep purple, but it's a beautiful paint job. I love it. He already has a chopped tour pack. We're gonna find him a backrest on the back of this thing. He has some 12-inch bars. We may be changing that to some 14s, kind of depending. We're gonna get him hooked up today with a different seat so he can kind of test that seat out. But like I said, what we're gonna do today for the 5K, and since it's been sitting up, we're just gonna go through the whole thing. We're gonna do a complete 3-hole oil change. And I like to start on the left side of the bike. I've already gotten I start first with the with the oil filter. Take the oil filter off first. Get that residual oil, let it drain, brake clean it. Take my time, really clean up that oil so it won't give me a false leak later. Right now, as you can see, I have a rag just shoved in there, just kind of clean up that residual from the brake clean that I put down in the inside. And I already have all 3 plugs out. So starting from, let me get the camera to focus here. So starting from the top up here, that right here is my engine. This is my trans, and then right here is my primary. I like to just keep them in order as I take them out, because what I'm about to do now is get them all cleaned. Take a brush, clean all the threads, make sure they're good, replace all the O-rings, and then Teflon tape, and then put those back together. Here's all the new stuff that he has right here. So we got a new gasket for the derby cover, for the primary cover. Inside of there, got new O-rings. Here's everything that I used just to take that part. I kind of just keep all the parts together. So for the primary, I took this off and the bolts. So there's my socket, my ratchet, and then that's what I use to take the primary cover bolts off. And then when we get done, we'll go all back through it, and then I'll pull my torque wrench out, and then we'll torque them down to specs. But right now, we're just letting the oil drain. Pretty much is all done. I'm using my S&S jack for this service because, of course, my lift over here is full. So, and this is an awesome jack. Check out my video review on this I did years ago. I've been using this thing for some years now, and I love it, especially for things like this, services. If you want to get the bike off the ground, do your brakes, tires, whatever the case may be, this S&S jack is perfect for it. Comes with this little catch pan here for the oil, so when you hit the oil, it just goes right down into your Harley-Davidson oil pan or whatever pan that you're going to use. And it is just a no mess cleanup. I like to just kind of let it sit here. I got everything unplugged on the right side as far as the engine button and the transmission, and I'm just letting it drain. I'm not in a rush. So again, starting on the left side of the bike, what I do is start with the oil filter, get that out, get that clean. Then I do engine, if I'm doing a 3-hole, engine, trans, and primary plugs, put them to the side. The last thing I take apart is the primary. First thing that you want to take apart in the primary is the cover. You don't want to drain the oil first before you take the cover off, especially on an older bike, because if those cover screws are scripted out and you're having a hard time, and if you happen to where you can't get this thing loose and take it off, it's happened a couple times to me, especially on older bikes. If you've already drained the oil, now you're stuck in the water. So take the cover off first, make sure that you can get access so you can refill it. Then you want to drop the drain plug and then drop the oil. Just a nice little tip. So that'll be the last thing. And then after that, while I'm letting the bike relieve all its fluids, if you could say drain, I start from the top and I start working my way back, checking things like brake pads, functionality of the electronic buttons, horn, turn signal, hazard lights, greasing cables, cable clutches, brake clutches. I like to take the axles off. So I remove the front tire. While I'm removing the front tire, I'm checking the rotors, I'm checking the pads, and then I like to take that axle off. Brake clean it, scrub it, then axle grease it, which is right there. Re-grease the axles, put it back through. Now I know that that's good. You don't have to do that every oil change, but you definitely want to get in there and check those axles. Then working our way back, touching the horn buttons, making sure that's good. Checking the fuel system, making sure there's no leaks. Checking the electrical system, making sure there's nothing unplugged, no leaks. Pop it out. I check the spark plugs, whatever the case may be. Check the wires. Sometime I remove the tank, checking all the wires, make sure we don't have anything rubbing, touching, especially when you get up in here in this fuel line. On Storm, my fuel line was touching here on the back of the horn and vibrating. And over time, it was doing it so long, on a trip out to Arizona, it had rubbed a hole in it. So that's something that you definitely want to check and keep watch on. Then I work my way back. I pull off the side cover here, check all of my electronics in the inside plugs, pull those plugs off, blow condensed air, make sure they're clean, then come back in with some dielectric grease, put those back together, then work my way to the rear, checking the springs, checking the belt deflection with my belt deflection tool, making any adjustments to that, removing the rear tire. Then I'm working my way around to the other side, checking the brakes, axles. This is just what I do. If it's going to be in here for 2 to 3 hours, I'm going to make sure I touch every bolt. Once I work my way down axles and put everything back together, I go back to the front, and now I'm torquing everything to spec. Axle bolts, brake calipers, the fender bolts, I'm touching it, making sure it's torqued down. We know these Harleys like to rumble and shake, even on the new ones, and things tend to shake loose. Alignment bolts for the engine, checking. Horn button, every bolt I'll go through, hit it with my torque wrench. I have the torques sequence wrote down. I have the manuals. I go through and I'm hearing click, 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 clicks. Once I have torqued everything on the left to include exhaust and all exhaust fixtures, working my way back down around to the right of the bike, and I'm doing the exact same thing, checking, touching everything. Then lastly, I usually go through, do all the button, horn, function checks, brakes, left, right, whatever the case may be. We're getting it down. We go for a test ride, maybe about 10 miles or so, come back, get the bike back in the air, lay down on the ground, looking for any leaks, any crazy noises, anything. All the bolts that I took apart, I kind of rechecked to make sure they're torqued. If that is good, then the bike goes outside for a wash. Wash the bike, usually do some type of spray on wax real quick just to give it a little bit of protection. From there, that's your service. We're good to go. And either you come pick your bike up or I'm dropping your bike off, depending on what we already talked about. So right now we're going to let this keep on draining. I'm going to go grab my checklist and a couple of more things. And then when we come back, I'm going to show you the checklist I have. And then we're going to go through, not everything, but I'll just kind of show you some of the things I'm torquing, touching, or whatever the case may be. And then we'll get this 5,000 mile service done. And he's good for another 5. We're going with the Screaming Eagle oil this time. We wanted to do AMS oil, but the dealership that was open, yesterday was Monday, the dealership that was open didn't have it, so we're going to do Screaming Eagle, and then next time we're going to try to roll with the AMS oil, whatever the case may be. Thanks for watching. Boom, I'll cut you back on when I get done. All right, while we're letting it drain, I want to go over this 5,000 mile checklist. So I got a folder of these. I kind of break them down, 5,000, 10,000, whatever the case may be. But here are the essentials of what you need to do for a 5,000 mile service. You know, pause it, take a picture of whatever the case may be. Replace engine oil and oil filter. Like I said, we're already on top of that. Inspect brake system, brake pads, disc, oil lines, and fluid reserve. We're going to do all of that. I have a brake fluid tester. So I'll check and see if the water's in anything, if it checks out to be good. If not, it needs to be changed every 2 years regardless. So we're gonna go ahead and change the brake fluid in this as well. Inspect the air filter, service is required. This one is not gonna need to be serviced with those low miles, but we're gonna clean it, blow air out of it if we need to, and then drop any residual oil out. You need to review the tires, pressure, tread, tightness of wheels and spokes. No wheels and spokes here, but we are gonna pull like I said, rims come off, axle get greased. You're gonna rotate the wheels, check it, make sure there's no nails, no leaks in there. Then we're gonna set it on the recommended tire pressure specs before we leave it. If you don't know what those are, they're on the side of your frame right there. So that front rim, he has a 19 by 3.5. He's 36 PSI in the front and 40 PSI in the rear when it's cold. All right, review drive belt and sprocket, inspect and adjust the belt. Like I told you, we're gonna definitely go through there and do all of that. You're gonna need a little belt tensioning tool to make sure that it's within that spec window under 10 pounds of pressure, and you have to look inside of your service manual to tell you where that window is at because it's different for every bike. Inspect the fuel valve, lines and fittings, and look for leaks. Remember, we was talking about that. That's one of the things that you need to check over and go through. Inspect the spark plugs. That's gonna be checked when you inspect the electricals and the wires here. Check the air suspension. We don't have air suspension on here, but we will check the shocks, make sure nothing is broken or looking loose or anything like that. Check operation of electrical equipment, switches. Remember we talked about that. Inspect exhaust system for leaks, cracks, or loose missing fasteners. Exhaust systems, you really want to check them. A lot of these fasteners and whatnot, like here, they get loose as you ride. So you just want to go through there and just double check and make sure that they're tight. And you want to take those bolts off, put a little bit of that anti-seize over there on there. So in the event you ever have to remove your exhaust, it won't seize itself on there. It makes it just a little bit easier to come off. And then once that's done, it says road test. But once we get done with all of that, we go a little bit of a step further here. And like I said, we're going to road test, come back, check again, make sure all the bolts are still tight. And then we're going to do a wash and a wax. But here's your checklist for 5,000. Here's one for the 10,000. And so on and so forth. Like I said, pause it, take a picture if you want to see it. But that's what we got going on. Remember, I said I was going to show you guys the service checklist. Now I'm about to start putting the oil and everything back together on the bike. And then we're going to work our way from left to right. All right, I know a lot of you probably already know this, but before you get ready to put your oil filter back on, three things you really want to do. First, you want to charge your oil filter up. So this engine and this particular bike with the 114 and whatnot, it's going to take, on the engine, it's going to take 4.5 quarts, which is 4.5 quarts. It's going to take 30 ounces in the primary and 28 ounces in the trans. But I always keep a quart over here on the side, and I go ahead and I get my oil filter, get it to the brim. And then what you want to do is just kind of let that sit. It's going to get inside of the oil filter. It's going to soak up inside of the pleats of the oil filter, and it's not going to make a mess when you get ready. And then you can take some of this clean oil. This is number 2. The first one is charging it. The second tip is to lube your ring. You don't want this dry rubber ring going into the oil filter housing dry. It just may cause it to rip or tear. So that's a good, little tip as well. I'm sure, like I said, I'm sure a lot of you guys already know this. Wipe it off on the old boots. And as you can see, the level of the oil is starting to go down now. And we'll just let that kind of sit for a little bit and charge itself up. I got the oil housing already clean. The cavity in the inside is clean and it's ready to go. So again, tip 1, charging the filter. Tip 2, you want to put some oil around the O-ring so it's not a dry mating surface. And tip 3 is one that I see a lot of people messing up on, and you'll know if you do your oil service on someone else's bike or yours. They put these oil filters on entirely too tight. Sometimes you can't even get these things off, or they're on there so tight when they come off, the rubber gasket breaks off. So as you can see, still got oil in there. We're just gonna go in there nice and smooth. I like to kind of roll it around, make sure we're good and seated. This is a Harley oil filter. I don't really like the Harley oil filters because they don't come with the little welded nut on the end, so you have to have that Harley filter removal tool there. But I have the high flow lifetime oil filter, and I love it. I would highly recommend that. You don't have to buy filters anymore. You just take that thing apart. But here we go. Here, nice and neat. May get a little bit of oil spillage when you go flat with it, but we shouldn't get that much. And I'm doing this with one hand, everyone. So let's get in here. There we go. Trying to get around that shifter peg. Bam. We're seated, as you can see. No oil is dripping. Just taking our time, catching those threads. Okay, they just caught. Look at that. Oh, nice and neat. Okay, right now it's seated on. So what I like to do is just, once I got it seated, I will take because my hands are big, it's kind of hard for me to get them in there. I put this on. Let me switch this. So I get this seated. I'm gonna get a good seat on it right there. Okay, there. Now, I got the housing turned. I'm gonna do half a turn, half, and then half of that again. That's seated. Now, we can bring that out. Then I come in here and check it hand tight. It's good. That's perfect. That's all you need. Once the engine gets hot and the oil starts flowing, it's gonna help that ring and that rubber ring expand and seat even better, but that's all you need. I see some people in there and they're cranking on it, and it just doesn't need that much. So now we have the oil filter charged, ready to go. Now we can start working our way backwards on the left side. And what I do is once I clean up all the 3 bolts, which I'll show you how I do that. Once I clean up all the 3 bolts and tape them, I go ahead and put them back in the same order I brought them out: engine, trans, then primary, torque them down to spec. And then the first thing I fill up is my primary, and I get that closed up. Then I work myself around the right side. I do engine, and then lastly, I do trans. I just like to do the same things over and over, so it helps me remember. And then also I go here on my checklist. Every time I get done, I'll draw a line out and I'll initial it by the side to let me know that I have completed that particular job and it's torque. And then I move to the next. So when I bring you guys back on, I'll be cleaning one of the screws, showing you how to Teflon that. Then I'll get them locked in and we're gonna start dropping some oil. All right, here we go real quick. I just wanna show you guys the bolts. Engine, trans, primary. Now I want you to take a look at that primary. I say this one for last. It has a lot of metal filaments on it, and that's normal. Again, this bike has a little under 5,000. Has, still was breaking in from being new. I think this is really the first oil change. Sometime, they recommend going back at 1,000 and changing it. He doesn't really know the history of it, but this is normal. This is really normal. I already looked at the oil that came out. So that magnet does its job, man. It really does. So let me show you how I kind of clean them up a little bit and get them situated. So just like normal, here's one that's already clean and O-ringed up and ready to go. So I use my own O-rings here. Harley usually use the black ones, but I can get these in bulk. And it also kind of let me know that I've changed those out versus using the black ones again. But simple. Just take a towel, clean it off, get you a nice wire brush, scrub all the threads, and then get you some Teflon tape and rewrap. So I don't think I need to show you guys how to do that. It ain't that serious. But this is how you want your bolts to look before they go back in. All ready to go. Ready to be inserted, torqued, and rolled another 5,000 until it's time to do it again. Take your time, go through here and do these type of things so you don't have any oil leaks and whatnot. A lot of people complain about how much Harley charges for the services and how long they take. But if you really look at the checklist and do the things that's on there, it's a good 3 or 4 hour job. So give your Harley Techs a break. Then you got to think they're probably charging you $125 an hour plus oil. So yeah, they can get really expensive. It can get really expensive. Just the oil change kit for this bike, all 3 holes were about $140 for the Screaming Eagle. That's with a filter and rings and everything else. So think about that. You're already at 140. Now that tech is going to spend 3-4 hours on your bike, you know, checking, touching, lubricating everything, going for test rides. That all accounts into the time. So learn how to do it yourself. All right, Switch Gears fam, we're coming to the end of this 5K service. I've went through the entire checklist. Like I said, I like to go through there, write down what I did, initial beside it, keeps me on point. Just got down with the tire pressure and whatnot. I'll throw a picture up there, just me checking and putting it in there. These are factory tires. Like I said, this is a 21. So I put in there, his tires are 4 years old. Tread is good, but the tires have 1 year left per manufacturer specs, usually about 5 years for your tires. Even if you're not really riding them, the materials start to break down the inside. Right here, this is the actual miles, 3,589. Like I said, we just went ahead and did a 5,000, everything on it just to check it because it's been sitting up. But his next service is due is 8,589. I keep everything on my Switching Gears computer here, so I've already created a folder for him. So I have all his stuff electronically. This is just for him to keep with him, and we can go from there. And I put that recommend to get some new tires, just because of that. But spark plugs, no air suspension. I put here, did a road test, 50 miles. I haven't done that yet. I'm getting it set up for the road test, and then after the road test, we're gonna get a bike wash. But guess what we got him? Look what we got him set up with. Ooh-wee! He's gonna be comfortable, man. So we got him set up with a ASR 3D full seat, backrest, passenger pillion, and driver. All gel, very sleek seat. This is what I run on Storm, my 2018 Road Glide CVO. I love it. I've rode one is on blue. This is blue. Got one on blue. I put that seat on all bikes. I recommend it. But we're going to see how he likes it. If you guys didn't catch my video, you know for Storm, I have a Russell Daylong seat in the works right now. Hopefully getting that in the next month or so. And we'll be testing it out so you guys don't have to spend your money. I'll spend mine, and I'll tell you what I think about that. But for right now, the leading seat is this ASR seat. I've done Corbin. There's a Corbin heated seat there. I've done Mustang. I've done Ultimate seat, which I absolutely love. Love the Ultimate seat. Now the ASR, and now we're going to get the Russell Daylong in here. So let me get down, button this up. I'm about to get ready to put the bags on. I'm about to back it out, warm it up. We're going to go for a test ride. I got some errands to run anyway. Looks kind of grayish outside, but it's not that bad. We're going to back it out, warm it up, come back, recheck all the bolts again. Then after that, we're going to give it a good wash. Try to get a little wax on. I see a little scratch right there. We're going to try to, tighten it up for him. Just do everything that we can do. Also, he only has a cup holder. Man, you need a phone holder up there, right? So guess what I dug out the old parts bin. I'm going to hook him up with a Shiro 3D phone holder. I'm about to get that installed right now. And he'll be in the game. I can throw my phone up there. We can go for a ride, and then we can get back. Hiya, get back at you guys. Hiya, I don't know if you guys know who that come from. That's my boy Trouble 2 Times. Go to check his channel out, Trouble 2 Times. Great guy, great channel. He's putting out a lot of great content. But let's go ahead and get him buttoned up. I gotta find some bolts and whatnot. I gotta go through my thing and find some hardware for this. And then look at that, we got a Redshift cam sitting over here. I'm about to oil all this back up, put it back in the bag, and we might throw this out there for sale. But that's for another video. Let's get him buttoned up, get the foam out, and then we'll go take it out for a test ride while I run errands. I'll cut you back on when we get done with the whole bike. Thanks for watching. All right, guys, it's late. We're back home. We got the bike all dropped off. He loved it. Rode great, sound great. I ended up throwing a windshield on there for him. Did, of course, the whole service that I showed you guys already. I also ended up putting some new grips on the bike and the seat with the backrest. So we're going to see how the seat turns out. I also got an update on the Russell Daylong seat. It is completed. It should be in the mail today. So I should have it here the next 7 days. Then I'll do unboxing, and then I'll put on the bike, and then we'll start getting some reviews. Thanks for watching. Ride safe. Have a great time.